anytime he turns up, just as we had with the Duchess of Kent's funeral, you end up with him taking centre stage. And that because if he's seen, what will be the story? Look, there's Andrew. That's not what they want. That's not the optics the royal family will want. They will want it to look like as normal as Christmas as possible. And Andrew, if he's going to go to church, he's going to have to find the back door of the church to get in away from the prying cameras. And of course, it is a sort of staged event, that Christmas occasion at Sandringham. So for what it's worth, I'm pretty sure we will not see. The only time we get to see Andrew is when he's cutting a lonely figure on a horse in Windsor Great Park.
So Keir Starmer has urged that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should share information on his connection to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to the Congress in the US. Andrew has ignored requests for the US Oversight and Government Reform Committee to appear. The Prime Minister said that my general position is if you have relevant information, you should be prepared to share it. Well, let's welcome to the show Rupert Bell, royal commentator. Rupert, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We heard from Andrew Mountbatten Windsor on why he's refusing to give evidence, or is he just being quiet about it?
We haven't heard anything, but he's always strenuously denied the allegations. So it would be something of a surprise if he had responded, because at all times he's protested his innocence, while at the same time, obviously, an out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre. As we know, she committed suicide earlier this year. We now have all the issues surrounding the Epstein files in America, which is now turning into a bit of a political hot potato within the sort of American environment, and President Trump seems to have been backed into releasing files, although many are redacted, it would seem. But I think the American Congress see Andrew as the low-hanging fruit as to which to try and get something moving on. But as I say, Andrew has shown no inclination, and it is an unprecedented move, I think, of Keir Starmer, although not naming Andrew in the interview, because normally prime ministers keep well away from all matters to do with the royal family. But clearly his reference does seem to be an interesting one, suggesting that if he does have anything, for goodness sake, come forward and try and clear your name. But as I say, Andrew doesn't think he's got anything to hide.
Well, Rupert, in 2019, it was reported that the then Duke of York had said, of course, I am willing to help any appropriate law enforcement agency with their investigations if required. So he has put himself forward as wanting to help. Why is he refusing to do so? Because
I just think the fallout from that interview has obviously been catastrophic for him personally, because there were so many holes and flawed statements within that interview that left him truly exposed. And I don't think he wants to put his head above the parapet again. It's as simple as that. He thought, as we all know, that interview went well. And that, unfortunately, is the problem with him, that his arrogance and his resistance to advice maybe has led him into this situation where he's now just a common citizen of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. So that's the situation. At the time, he was trying to be coming forward, one of the reasons why he did the interview. But as I say, it went so horribly wrong that it means that he is now going to be very reluctant to say anything going forward.
What can the US Congress do if he continues to ignore their pleas? Can they force him to speak to someone? Can they perhaps offer an interview in the UK rather than Andrew travelling to the US? Can they bring him to the table somehow, Rupert?
Well, I think, I suppose they could come forward and saying we're subpoenaing you and try and get him extradited. But I don't think that would be a major step forward. I think the only way, they've just got to try and lean on him, and maybe sort of the words within the Parliament, or not Parliament, but with the Prime Minister. Maybe the King could maybe try and persuade him. But I don't think he's for turning at the moment. And that is the problem. And while he does this, it then creates all the negative headlines around the royal family, because because he is the focus of attention. And when you think the King and William, when they want to do things, inevitably, events around Andrew seem to overshadow absolutely everything. So it is a problem for the royal family that is just not going away. And Andrew, while he may be going off into exile somewhere, whether it be in Sandringham or might even be overseas, who knows? But he will always be a problem. And until he can finally, we lay this to rest and say, and prove his innocence, as he would say, then I'm afraid people will always be looking for him to come forward and try and sort out and rebut the allegations. But at the moment, he's showing no keenness to do so.
Do you think he could repair the damage done if he chose to cooperate in some shape or form?
Well, it might be some chance of beginning the very slow rehabilitation, but it's got so unseemly, and at times some of the allegations are pretty horrendous. So therefore, it will be a long, long road back. What, he's now 65. What's he going to do with the rest of his life? Is he just going to be shut away in a farmhouse somewhere in Norfolk, possibly? Or does he see that finally he might have to look at a way of getting for some form of redemption? But it's, this leopard is not, he doesn't change his spots easily, I don't think. And that is part of the problem.
Rupert, just briefly, as you mentioned, it's coming up to Christmas time. We don't quite know where Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is going to find himself. You don't expect any public appearance, do you? Any photos of the royal family on Christmas Day service? We imagine that he's going to be absent from all those public events.
They will not want him anywhere near those, because any time he turns up, just as we had with the Duchess of Kent's funeral, you end up with him taking centre stage. And that because if he's seen, what will be the story? Look, there's Andrew. That's not what they want. That's not the optics the royal family will want. They will want it to look like as normal as Christmas as possible. And Andrew, if he's going to go to church, he's going to have to find the back door of the church to get in, away from the prying cameras. And of course, it is a sort of staged event, that Christmas occasion at Sandringham. So for what it's worth, I'm pretty sure we will not see. The only time we get to see Andrew is when he's cutting a lonely figure on a horse in Windsor Great Park.
Rupert, thank you for your time. Rupert Bell, royal commentator there.